Hello, and welcome to another episode of Senior Soundings. It's great to have you along, and thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Jerry LePage, and today with me, my guest is Judith Kelley of the East Bay Community Action Program's Weatherization program. And so, Jude, thank you for coming in. It's great to see you. And the Weatherization program is really a very important service that, among other agencies, East Bay Community Action does a very creditable job in something that is really a very vital service. Tell me a little bit more now about what the Weatherization program entails in terms of like repairs or refurbishments or what have you. So take it away.
So first, thank you for having me here.
Sure.
You've had a few of my other colleagues who very much enjoyed being here, so I appreciate the opportunity to explain what weatherization is. So basically, our program helps people make their home energy efficient. So we start with what we call the energy audit, and one of the auditors will go to a client's home, and we'll talk about being a client in a minute. But one of our clients will call up, book an appointment, the auditor goes out to the home, and they start with the simple ways we can do it. We're privy to the electric bill because we're also funded by Rhode Island Energy, National Grid. So the auditors will ask a series of questions that help gauge how much your bill probably should be, approximately.
Okay.
And if it seems a little high, then they'll help the client bring down their bill many different ways. Some of it's educational, like explaining about unplugging items if you're not using them. And some other ways would be exchanging appliances for energy efficient appliances. So we are funded to replace appliances such as refrigerators, air conditioners, dehumidifiers. We have a rather long list, clothes washing machines if they're not energy efficient. All those appliances pull a lot of electricity if they're too old, so we can sit down with the client and order brand new ones at no cost to the client. We're a like-for-like company, so what happens is if you had a 5,000 BTU air conditioner, that's what we would get you, but it would be energy efficient, so it'll help you save money in the summer. Once that part is done, the auditor will look at the house as a whole. And what they do is they start in the attic, they go all the way to the basement and outside, and they're looking for what the home needs to be energy efficient, to be weatherized. So there are many measures to this. We insulate attics, we do basements, we do walls, we do air sealing. There are many ways that the auditors actually help the clients to have energy efficient homes. If you are a homeowner, and you're on the program, we also help with heating systems. So if you own your own home and you're on the low income heating assistance program, or you're on the lower rate with Rhode Island Energy for whatever reason, we can actually help you with your heating system also. So if you wake up one morning and you don't have heat, you call us and we send one of our contractors out. Our contractors are all vetted by the state. They have to go through a process to be approved. So sometimes clients worry about who's coming into the house, who are you sending? But I can assure you they're all checked out by the state and National Grid. They've all had background checks. So they come out to the house and they will assess it, whatever the heating needs are. Sometimes they're repairs, sometimes it's full replacements, but we also take care of that fully.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that the client, the person, the homeowner, there are some qualification criteria?
So yeah, this is our sister program is called LIHEAP. It stands for Low Income Heating Assistance Program. So a person would have to be on that program. This is an income eligible program, and it really depends on how many people you have in your household and what your income is. And it varies from a one-person household all the way up to 8 people. Okay, so you can go onto our website and look at the income guidelines, and if you fall in the income guidelines, you can apply right on our website. Once you're accepted onto the program, there's a little checkbox that says you're interested in weatherization, and then I would call you to book the appointment. So it is an income eligible program that's available through the whole state.
And you mentioned the contractors, so the person that comes to do the audit as well would be affiliated with a contractor?
Well, they work for us. So the people that go out to do the audits have had training and certifications that allows them to do this. So We have one person right now that's in training. He would never go to a home alone. He's still training. He doesn't have his full certifications. We have presently 2 other auditors working for us that have received all the qualifications from the state that they offer, so they can go in and decide what needs to be done, and then they send a work order to a contractor. And at that point, the contractor would contact the client and set up an appointment to actually do the work.
So if there's a contractor out there who would like to become involved in this program.
That's great. We onboard them all the time. We're always looking for contractors because we have so many people in the East Bay area that the more contractors, the more people we can help quicker. Like right now, we're booking out till March. We just don't have enough contractors. So people in March will probably be weatherized within the next couple of months, so their house will be nice and tight for next year. Because usually from the time of contact to me, it could take 3 to 4 months for it to be totally done, from the audit to the work being completed.
I see.
So it takes a little bit of time, but if any contractor is interested, just contact me. Obviously, I don't do the background checks. That's done by the state and National Grid. They have their own background check and drug screen. So,
and I see from the sheet that you held up that it's a program of the Rhode Island Department of Human Services. So are they the ones who conduct the background checks and all of that?
So this is we're funded by both HHS and National Grid, Rhode Island Energy. So National Grid really leads in the background checks. They have a set company that they use and criteria, and they keep it very best way to put it is they're very strict with it. And they're watching it all the time, so that we're not allowed to use a contractor, even someone that might have been on the program before and then didn't keep up with their certifications. They would not be able to be used, and they keep track of all that for us. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that this is at no cost at all to the client?
No cost at all.
There literally no cost sharing or anything like that?
I know people always think when I call them, sometimes I'll call people, they say, oh, I'm interested in weatherization. I call them and they can't believe it's really at no cost. But truly, there's no cost. Not for any of the appliances, for the brand new heating systems. We do probably about 200 heating systems a year that we replace for people. Yeah, it's great. And each heating system, obviously, back 5 years ago, they were coming in at $7,000. They're coming in 10 plus now.
Right.
A lot of people can't afford that, and there's not a lot of help. If your oil tank goes, your heating system goes, it's hard to actually come up with that kind of money really fast. And we're able to do that for low-income clients.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So now, as far as the service area, East Bay Community Action pretty much serves Bristol County and Newport County.
Yes.
But is this program limited to just those 2 counties, or is it statewide?
So I work for East Bay Community Action, and we're a nonprofit, and we take care of the East Bay. So we're going from East Providence, Barrington, Warren, Bristol, over the bridge, Portsmouth, Tiverton, Newport, Jamestown, Little Compton. That's the CAP agency I work for. But there are other CAP agencies in the state that do the same thing we do, but for different areas. Like there's a CAP of Providence, there's a Tri-County, and there is a list that we'll be showing later for contact information if you're not in the East Bay.
Okay, good to know. And just for our audience's awareness, community action programs were actually founded in the same legislation that created Medicare in 1965.
I didn't even know that.
And yes, and I know that East Bay Community Action is one of only 10 CAP agencies throughout the country that offers the full range of community action services.
Everything.
And so weatherization is just one of a myriad.
We can help in almost anything you need for a family. We have health, we have pharmacy, career closet, if you need clothing to get ready for your new job, food pantries, everything. Yeah. It's great organization.
Fabulous organization. Now, how do you, even do you collaborate? For instance, I know Habitat for Humanity has a program for like repairs and other kinds of things. So how do you collaborate with these other organizations and services?
We work we do work with Habitat Providence. Also, the cities and towns sometimes have their own people that can go out and help, and so we kind of partner with them to see. So an example of this would be East Providence. We don't have funding to just go in and replace an oil tank. We just are not funded to do just that.
Right.
So when a client calls me from East Providence and I need an oil tank, you're red flagged, City of East Providence can go in and help them. So it's not just Habitat Providence, Habitat for Humanity. They're great, and they've helped us a lot with things we can't do. An example would be we had a client and we weatherized her whole home, but she couldn't go out her back porch because the floorboards were all loose, and it was an actual porch. We don't do that.
Right.
But Habitat Providence came in and they fixed it for her. So now she can go on her back porch. So we have contacts. If we can't do it, we know who to contact, and we try our best to give those contacts to the clients too. Yeah.
I'm asking too because I have a friend who has a home in Tiverton.
Okay.
And he called me recently to say he had a hole in the roof, and he wondered if I had any resources that I could refer him to.
What I would tell that client is, let me send an auditor to the home. I don't go, I'm more the office side, and I do know there are times that we can patch roofs, we can do small patches, especially if it's around the chimney, but we don't do full roof replacement. That's, we're just not funded, that can be expensive, and we're a funded program, so that's not really part of what we do, but there are times we can help with smaller leaks or patches.
Or even just, again, make a referral to one of the other, like Habitat or any of these other
or the towns or United Way helps a lot too. Yeah, yeah, definitely. But I leave that to the auditors. They know their business.
So could you maybe give an example of the nuts and bolts of the actual process? You get a call from someone. The first step is to schedule an audit.
Well, the first step is to certify that they're on LIHEAP or the lower rate. We have to make sure that they're eligible for our program. So, and I have access to both of those sites. So I confirm that, and then I book them an appointment. The appointments are about 4 hours because, as I mentioned, there's a lot to do in the home. They check the appliances, they go over some educational information on controlling your electric bill, and then they have to check the whole house. So it can go to about 4 hours. So what happens, we're booking out in March right now, and the auditor will go, at the end of the visit, the auditor sits down with the client, and that's when they discuss what they want to do. We'd like to air seal, we'd like to, insulate your roof. Sometimes there problems are found that we can't really weatherize right away. Something as asbestos, vermiculite. So that's a bit of a process, and so the auditors will either try to get permission to remove it or work with another company to remove it. So the way I tell the clients is the auditors drive the bus, but I won't know where the bus is going till the auditor goes to your house. So once that's done, the auditor will tell me what's going on. So they'll put everything into this website that we use, and that directs the job. Most of the time a work order is sent out, and then the company that gets a work order will contact the client, and usually the work takes place within a couple of months.
Okay. And so typically, what is the auditor looking at? Obviously, insulation levels, if any.
There are so many measures.
Are they looking at wiring or?
Yeah, knob and tube wiring, that's a problem. Knob and tube wiring is a type of wiring that's in older homes, and we can't insulate around it. So that's another conversation that would be at the end of the audit. Sometimes we can insulate in areas that there is no knob and tube. So it's really what the auditor finds and what we can do to help. And a lot of times something with knob and tube, we even have to check to see if it's live. Sometimes it's not live, and then we can either pull it or work around it. So it gets complicated. They're looking at a lot. They're looking for water issues in the basement, moisture. If there is some kind of mold in the basement, we try to look for where did the moisture come from? Where is this mold coming from? So that we can help the client get rid of it and make sure it never comes back again. So the audits are pretty detailed, and it's, people always ask what happens at an audit. I always tell them, just relax, let them look at your whole house, let them go up into the attic, into the basement, look at the gutter extensions, and then they'll sit down and talk with the client about what's best. There's no cookie cutter house. Every house is different. And even if you're looking at a Cape built in the 50s, they're all very similar, but they all have different problems. You know, it could be chimney issues, needing chimney liners. It could be moisture in the basement and they don't have a sump pump, or they need a different kind of drain. So it really, the auditors drive the bus once they get to the house.
It is a very extensive and comprehensive
It's
exam.
a lot of knowledge goes into it. They spend a lot, there's about 4 levels of certifications that they
I
need
see.
before they can complete the full audit, like even check the work afterwards. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. Now, getting back to the issue of certification, I'm glad you mentioned the 4 levels. So if a contractor, say, has qualified in 2 of the 4 levels, would they still be brought in possibly to do the work?
So the auditors go through the 4 levels. So the people that work for East Bay, they're the ones that go through the building.
I see.
It's like it's hard to explain, but it starts with the building science, and so you learn how actually air moves and how water moves. So it starts pretty basic, and then it goes to the technician, then a professional, and then it goes to actually being able to QCI the work that was done. And those are the people that work for East Bay. Those are the people that actually come to your house to decide what has to be done. The contractors go through a background check and they go through a drug screening. That's really all we check. We have references for them, and we also keep track of the people that work for us, the contractors. So if we ever had a problem with a contractor not doing work, maybe good work 2 times in a row, the state steps in and we educate and we teach. There's a man that works for the state, his name is Ramon. He is great. He works with our contractors to make sure that they're all learning the best ways to help our clients. So there's a lot of checks and balances and a lot of support for education.
Excellent. Now, do you, you mentioned doing outreach. How do you approach doing outreach? Do you try to get in front of homeowners associations, or
We've
how do you
done
do
a
that?
lot of different ways and all varying levels of success. So I've been to end of the year camp events where I've tried to talk to parents. I've also been to the libraries where we have local, everybody to help people save money gets together, whether it be United Way or Green Homes, East Bay, Rhode Island Energy. I've done a lot of those. Anything, any way. It's difficult because this is an income eligible program. So it's hard to get, when you're in a crowd, it's hard to get people's attention when it's income eligible because that's a very private subject.
Sure.
So that's kind of difficult, but I usually have my business cards with me, and so if people are interested, they'll take a card and call me later.
Yeah.
So it's
I think,
just private.
obviously, it's, my specialization is geriatrics. So, the senior centers, I think, would probably be a good place to do outreach. And very frequently, I find the senior centers have some kind of might be an information fair of some kind.
Yes.
Where, and so I'm thinking, if I get wind of such a thing, and I think having an information table from the Weatherization program.
I would love to be part of that.
So I will
Especially
definitely.
seniors don't always get the news of what we're doing and don't always know how to we put up our website, but are they comfortable navigating the website to find it? So yeah, I love doing outreaches. I'd be very happy to be part of that.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Good.
definitely.
Good to know.
And my boss would support it too. So
Good. Good.
yes, 100%.
So we were talking about the audit, and so they check the wiring and the insulation and for water leaks.
And how tight the house is. They do a test to see if air is infiltrating from the outside and what levels, just to know where it needs to be tightened up, what areas need to be tightened up. So they have a lot of equipment that helps them gauge what the house needs. So that's...
And what would an example be, for instance, if a window is drafty? How would they actually test that?
There's an infrared gun that actually tells the difference in thermal temperatures. So they use that. And honestly, clients know their home. So I hear stories all the time. The auditors will go out and they say, feel this is a draft from right here. So some of it is really the clients directing us. So when a client calls me and they have a particular concern, I always notate it because when the auditor gets out to the house, I want them to address whatever that particular concern is first. Very often it's heating systems right now. We've been in this bitter cold for days, and I've probably had about 17 no heats, just the heating systems are old and they can't keep up.
Right.
So we're dealing with a lot of the no heats right now. But that's a little bit different because that doesn't involve the auditors. What happens is the client would call me directly, and then I call it one of our heating contractors, and they go out to the house and they tell me what's going on. We don't have a heating specialist right now.
So the contractor would evaluate what the problem is and then identify a solution and then propose that, and if
and then it
your
goes to the
program
state.
can.
Yeah, the state and Rhode Island Energy. Yeah,
Okay.
and they do the approvals.
Okay.
So most of them are repairs. We have a lot of older homes in this area with a lot of older heating systems, so we do a lot of repairs and replacements.
Now, what about like a multi-family dwelling, say like a 3-tenement?
That's,
or
we do those up to 4.
house?
We can go up to 4, yeah. And there's it's really actually helps landlords a lot because, so we have a 50% rule, and so LIHEAP is the program, and if it's a 4-family house and 2 of the families on LIHEAP, we can do the whole entire house.
I see.
We just did one in Warren a couple of months ago. Big apartment, and 2 of the families were on LIHEAP, so we did the whole house, the attic, the basement, everything.
So that's really important for people to know. You know, if you own an income-producing property, you might still be able to qualify depending on the financial situation of the people who are actually tenants.
We do a lot of them. We do a lot of duplexes, especially through East Providence and Warren. There are a lot of duplexes. And that's easy because as long as one person is on it, we can do the whole house.
Right.
So landlords love it. And the work is good. Even when we do the work in a home, like a 4-family home, the auditor still works with the landlord, the owner, to make sure we're doing what the owner wants for his home. We don't come in and just tell people what has to happen. It's like a collaboration.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
it's still at no cost though.
but if someone says, I really don't want to do that particular aspect,
Well, that's when negotiation takes place. There are some things we have to do. There's a type of fan, an ASHRAE fan, and if the auditors know they need this ASHRAE fan to bring the airflow, to bring the moisture out of the house, and a tenant or a client says no, we usually can't go forward.
I see.
That's something that's really important for the house. So there's some things we can say, okay, no big deal, and then there are other things that are mandatory.
but it is definitely a kind of a negotiation that takes place.
And sometimes for a while.
Right.
Yeah, to come to a, well, something else that's really important is when we do this work, the people don't leave their homes. So we have to kind of work around their schedule and availability, and, the people that work nights sleep all day. So sometimes it takes a little while, but we get there. Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, especially for renters. A lot of people say, I'm a renter, I don't think you can help me. No, we still can.
Excellent. Excellent. So if you're renting, keep that in mind. And so we have a few minutes left, Jude. Would you have any, is there a story you'd like to tell our viewers, or, some
so many of
really,
them.
great?
The story I always told people when I first started working for EBCAP, which was still, it's like heartbreaking, but it ended really well. I had taken a call one of my first few days at EBCAP, and it was from a woman who was not on LIHEAP yet, 82-year-old woman, had not had heat in 3 years.
Oh my goodness.
But she had been weatherized by us, but she did not know we also did heat. And she said, I don't know what to do. Is there any money for space heaters? And then when I dug in a little bit more, she just needed a new heating system. And then it was I had a different supervisor then, maybe about 6 months later, she actually came to EBCAP. And we had to help her up the stairs, and it was awesome though. And she came to thank us because she had been living by herself with no heat for 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So even though people know about the program, they don't always know about what we do. Another example is the refrigerators. We replace refrigerators. I had talked to actually, I think he was from maybe Tiverton or Portsmouth. He needed a refrigerator to medicate for his medication, and his refrigerator had died. He was going 3 houses down every day just to take his medication because he didn't know we could replace the refrigerator and get him a brand new one.
Wow.
So that was all within my first 6 months of working here. It's just really, we help people. Not just my department, every single person that you walk through the halls and somebody will be lost, and all of us pop out of the office to say, oh, can we help you? What are you looking for? It's just it's It's a great place to work.
Well,
We
it's
do
a
lot of
very,
good.
and your program is obviously very busy. You mentioned that in a typical year you do about 200
Heating systems.
heating systems.
Oh yeah,
So-
maybe even more this year, but yeah, that's our approximate.
So
yeah.
if you count in other jobs besides,
Oh, we're doing weatherizations. We have 2 auditors, and they go to 6 homes a week. So 3 each of them. So those are 3 weatherizations every week that we're going into homes. They're not all viable. Sometimes they've already been weatherized or
Right.
whatever. But yeah, we're hitting a lot of households, and we have another auditor coming up now, so we'll be able to do even more.
excellent.
Yeah, and we train if anybody's interested.
And so the demand is clearly there
Oh, yeah.
to have to bring in another auditor.
Oh yeah, and the
And,
list is very long. So everyone that signs up for LIHEAP, if they're interested in weatherization, their name gets generated to me, and I
see.
have a call list probably of 200 people right now
Uh-huh.
to book appointments for. Yeah, it's a
Wow.
great program. We fit them all in.
Well, excellent. And you know, to our viewers, I assist people to complete the LIHEAP
Oh.
applications,
Oh, nice.
among other types of benefit programs.
Nice.
LIHEAP is one of them. So if you want to know more, you can always contact me as well, and I'd be happy to help you not only to coach you through completing the application, but then making sure that you have the proper supporting documentation.
Right.
And making sure, you know, photocopies are made. Whenever you submit an application for any kind of benefit program, always make sure you keep a full set of copies for your own records, because certain departments, who shall remain nameless, routinely will say, oh, we never got that, or you forgot to include this, or so on. So if you have a full set of what you've submitted, indeed, there may be something that you've overlooked in terms of completing the application or putting in a supporting document.
Yeah.
So, you know, both Jude and I are available to assist you with that kind of work.
And the whole LIHEAP department.
Yes.
Yep, they're all
indeed.
right. They have a window that you can go in and speak to somebody right away if you have questions. It is a process, and you do have to make sure all your documents, if your documents are not there, they send the whole packet back to you, and then you send it back again.
Yeah,
So it is
yeah.
better to get some help and do it right the first time, quicker
Right,
too.
right,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, we have a few seconds left, so any parting thoughts or comments,
No,
Jude?
I just want to thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I hope people really do reach out to me for an appointment, or even if they're just interested in the appliances, we can cut it to just an appliance appointment. So, yeah, no, thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're very welcome. And so, again, we East Bay Community Action serves the basically Bristol County and Newport County, but there are 7 additional community action agencies throughout the state. And so even if you're not in Bristol or Newport County, do feel free to contact me, and whatever community you live in, I'll be able to direct you to the CAP agency that serves your community. So with that, Jude, again, I thank you for coming on and telling our viewers about such an important program. Hopefully you'll get lots more calls and maybe need to add another auditor, in fact. So,
That'd be great.
But again, thank you for coming on. And
you.
viewers, thank you for joining us on Senior Soundings. We'll see you next time.